Welcome to Born to Win. I'm Bob Proctor, and each Monday I share a short message designed to help you start your week with focus, clarity, and intention. These episodes are built around timeless principles that I learned from my father, Bob Proctor. And when understood and applied, these principles can change the direction of your life. If this podcast has been meaningful to you, I would appreciate it if you would rate it, follow it, and share it with someone who could benefit from these ideas. It helps this message reach people who are ready to hear that success isn't something you chase, it's something you allow. You were born to win, and when you live in harmony with the laws of life, you begin to experience that truth in every area. Today's episode is titled The Law of Rhythm, Understanding Universal Principles. So take a deep breath, open your mind, and let's get started. This episode on the law of rhythm is the first in a series where we'll go deeper into the laws of life. More specifically, I will be focusing on the 7 key universal laws my father believed govern results. He taught me these at a very young age, and they've shaped how I think, how I make decisions, and how I move through each day. Understanding and applying these principles is how you bring order to your thinking and understanding of your life. When you live by applying this knowledge, you move from reacting to life to intentionally creating it. Because these laws are always operating. They don't turn on and off. They don't respond to opinion. They are constant. And the goal here is to align your thinking with them. So you stop working against life and you start working with it. Now, before we go any further, I want to share something personal with you. In the final days of my father's life, my wife, Corey, asked my dad, "How do we do this without you?" And his answer was immediate. He said, "Follow universal laws and you cannot lose." Well, that stayed with me. And it's why I want to talk you through these laws one at a time. Because once you understand them, you begin to see your life differently. You begin to operate differently. And today, we're starting with one that is influencing you every single day, the law of rhythm. Everything moves, whether you notice it or not. This law teaches that everything moves in cycles. Think of the changing seasons, the changing tides, sunrise and sunset, growth and decay, joy and sadness, low energy and high energy. There is a constant swing between poles. It's all rhythmic. Nothing is static. We are living in an ocean of motion. You see it everywhere if you slow down and observe. And it is at work in your life right now. It doesn't ask for your permission or wait for your awareness, and you are not separate from this law. Your life is rhythmic too. Your energy moves in cycles. Your focus comes in waves. Your emotions rise and fall. Your results expand and sometimes appear to contract. This is not random. It is not inconsistency. It is not failure. It is rhythm. And developing your awareness of this principle helps cultivate a mindset of gratitude and reduce anxiety, as this too shall pass. Where people forfeit their power is in the assumption that they are lacking because they are in a slower period, or they are experiencing resistance. That dip is a natural swing, and the trick is not to let it throw you off track. Rather than fighting the inevitable lows, learn to treat them as a period of rest and regeneration. Think about winter. Everything slows down. Growth is not visible. The ground appears still. But no one panics because we understand that winter is part of the cycle. It prepares the ground. It restores balance. It sets up spring. It is the same with life. What feels like failing is actually preparing. My father taught that what you see on the outside is always the result of something happening on the inside. He talked about the paradigm, your mental programming. Your paradigm controls your behavior. But here's what most people don't connect. Your paradigm is also influenced by rhythm. There are times when you feel aligned and times when old patterns try to resurface. That doesn't mean you're going backwards. It means you're moving through the cycle. And you will set yourself back if you give up in those moments. And worse, if you beat yourself up instead of learning to ride the wave and respect the movement as necessary. When you understand the law of rhythm, you can relax and live within it by harnessing the ups and taking care of yourself in the downs. Your results in life follow an equation. Your thoughts plus your feelings equals your actions, and your actions equal your results. Now here's the key. Your feelings are not constant. They fluctuate. They follow rhythm. So if your actions depend on your feelings, your results will always be inconsistent. But if your actions are driven by decision, you begin to override the fluctuation. By understanding this, you avoid emotional extremes and reacting negatively towards yourself and others when you're in a low. You can observe your emotions and avoid excessive highs and lows by remaining balanced. When you use your awareness to recognize that you are in a low phase, you will avoid panic, as it is temporary. Use this time for reflection and preparation for the next high. This is where attitude becomes critical. Your attitude is not just how you feel. Let's go back to that equation. Your attitude is a composite of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. Understanding this is important because if you tie your attitude to your emotions, you are at the mercy of rhythm. But if you anchor your attitude in decision, you begin to operate above the swing. I like the analogy of the pilot and the passenger. Most people live like passengers on a flight. When turbulence hits, they tense up, they react, they assume something is wrong. But the pilot understands something different. The turbulence is part of the journey. It doesn't change the destination. It doesn't change the direction. It's just part of the movement. You can live as the passenger, reacting to every bump, or you can think like the pilot, understanding the rhythm, and staying on course anyway. The pendulum will swing. That's not the problem. Energy will always shift. Emotions will fluctuate. That is guaranteed. It is only a problem when you become the swing, when you are constantly allowing your emotions and attitude to move with the pendulum. High, you feel high. Low, you feel low. You have another option. Every pendulum has a center point, the pivot. That point doesn't swing. It remains steady. Everything moves around it, but it stays grounded. That's where you want to live, not as a swing, but as the center. You observe your emotions without becoming controlled by them. You notice the rhythm without losing your direction. Life will always have a rhythm. Busy times, quiet times, joy and sorrow. By remaining centered, you can experience these moments without losing sight of your values, goals, or inner peace. Science shows that your body operates in cycles. Your brain moves through rhythms of focus and fatigue. Your hormones fluctuate throughout the day. Your energy peaks and dips. This is why some mornings feel sharp and clear and other times require more effort. It's not inconsistency, it's biology. But high performers have learned to harness this rhythm. They do not wait for the perfect mood or energy level. They utilize disciplined routines to trigger focus. My father used to like to say, a pro is at their best regardless. I watched him live that. And this is evident when working with this law. Amateurs will act when they feel like it. Professionals act because they decided to. Amateurs rely on motivation. Professionals rely on commitment to set patterns, a premeditated choice to behave in a certain way, regardless of circumstances. Amateurs stop when it gets hard. Professionals recognize this is just part of the rhythm. Imagine pushing a massive flywheel. At the beginning, it barely moves. It takes effort. It feels slow. You push and push and push. Now imagine stopping every time you hit resistance. You'd never build momentum. But if you keep going, even through the slower moments, the wheel begins to turn, and eventually it carries itself. That's what consistency through rhythm creates. It is moving through life with an understanding that small, consistent wins compound over time, generating unstoppable momentum. The reason it is important to understand this law is that you are paying a hidden cost if you misunderstand it. You see, the real problem isn't the dip. It's what people do during the dip. If you don't understand that a low is temporary, you may stop or change direction, perhaps second guess your goals. And every time that happens, you lose momentum. Not because the path was wrong, but because you didn't stay with it long enough. What if nothing in your life felt off track? What if you trusted that every phase had a purpose? The highs, they build momentum. The lows build stability. The high expands. The low integrates. The high excites, the low strengthens. With that understanding, the cycle stops looking like a problem and starts looking like a system. When you don't fight the law of rhythm, you align with it. When energy is high, you learn to lean in. When energy dips, you learn to stay steady. That's the discipline. Let's get into your Born to Win practice for this week. For the next 7 days, practice this. Observe your rhythm. Notice when your energy is high. Notice when it dips. Just notice. Don't judge. Don't label one as good and one as bad. Next, anchor your attitude. Choose thoughts like, I'm steady, I'm consistent, I move forward regardless. And finally, take action anyway, even if it's smaller, especially if it's smaller, because small, consistent action builds powerful momentum. My father taught you become what you think about. Well, let me add to that. You become what you consistently act on. And consistency is only possible when you understand rhythm. When you stop reacting to how you feel and start acting based on what you've decided. So let me leave you with this. Are you being moved by the rhythm, or are you using it to move forward? Because the moment you understand this law, you stop being controlled by your circumstances and you start directing your life. Thank you for joining me today on Born to Win. If this message resonated with you, please share it with someone who could use a reminder of their own inner greatness. It also helps me to reach more people if you rate and follow this podcast. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Brian Proctor Official. And remember, success isn't about luck or timing. It's about alignment. You were designed for success, built for expansion, and born to win. I'll see you next Monday. Until then, think big, trust yourself, and keep growing.